Hi, and welcome to the Sunday, the day before Trump's civil trial in New York. Let's go through Trump's real estate skullduggery and outright lies to put what you will hear in the coming weeks in context. And the word lies does not do this discussion justice. I am Lauren, a baby boomer who once bought into all the Trump BS and bling. I have decades of real estate lending experience, and a lot of that experience was with high net worth real estate owners and developers. When I started in the late 80s, I bought into Trump's story. I drank from a Trump Tower mug, true story. I played a Trump-themed board game, not proud of that. I was all in. Trump was the man. That period, thankfully, lasted only a few years. I got experience and wised up. And let's be real, in the world of real estate, where egos are as tall as skyscrapers and truth stretching is the norm, Trump is like the final game level of a combat video. He has become the king of con in the real estate world. But here's the big question. Have you ever wondered how those Trump tall tales measure up legally? Let's dive in as we go beyond the gold trimmings and dissect that juicy 35-page judgment. Buckle up, it's going to be huge. The following excerpt is from the beginning of the judge's order. In defendant's world, rent-regulated apartments are worth the same as unregulated apartments. Restricted land is worth the same as unrestricted land. Restrictions can evaporate into thin air. A disclaimer by one party casting responsibility on another party exonerates other parties' lies. The Attorney General of the state of New York does not have capacity to sue or standing to sue. Never mind all those cases where the Attorney General has sued successfully under a statute expressly designed to provide that right. All illegal acts are untimely if they stem from one untimely act, and square footage subjective. That is a fantasy world, not the real world. Close quote. Wow. After reading that, I was hooked. The excerpt would be the perfect opening to a Tom Wolfe novel whose premise is the sometimes sleazy underworld of commercial real estate. Let's go through Trump's fantastical properties one by one to hit the highlights. The judge states that this is a documents case. The documents clearly contain fraudulent valuations. Defendant Trump's response: the documents do not say what they say. There is no such thing as objective value, and that essentially the court should not believe its own eyes. Talk about gaslighting, my God. The best part is, in a footnote from the judge, as Chico Marx playing Ciccolini says to Margaret Dumont playing Mrs. Gloria Teasdale in Duck Soup, well, who you gonna believe? Me or your own eyes? In his defenses, Donald Trump implies that the numbers cannot be inflated because he could find a buyer from Saudi Arabia to pay any price he suggests. In an additional footnote, the judge goes on to say, this statement may suggest influence buying more than savvy investing. All right, folks, gather around for the Trump Tower triplex tale. You know, the magical place where 10,996 square feet turns into 30,000. Yep, between 2012 and 2016, Trump claimed his triplex was almost nearly triple its actual size, inflating its value by a mere 114 to 207 million. Why? Because why not? Forbes magazine even gave a heads up to Trump. Like, hey, your math seems a bit optimistic. But nope. The Trump team played it off, saying square footage is subjective. Sort of like calling a fish a bicycle and saying it's a matter of perspective. They both move, don't they? Sure, there can be a 10 to 20% wiggle room if your room is shaped like a starfish. But 200%? Come on. Here's the kicker. 3 days after Forbes raised an eyebrow, there was chatter within the Trump organization to, in essence, let sleeping square footages lie. Even their own counsel admitted in court that square footage isn't like guessing the number of gummy bears in a jar. It's an objective number. And just for a fun fact to drop at your next cocktail party, no New York City apartment had sold for what Trump valued the triplex at, which was, wait for it, between 180 to 327 million from 2012 to 2016. That's like valuing clay bricks at gold bar prices. All right, moving on. Time for a lesson titled Real Estate Math with the Donald. Let's talk about the Seven Springs estate with over 200 acres of New York contiguous land. Now, professional appraisers, with their, expertise, valued it consistently at or below 30 million. In Trump's world, by 2011, that estate was suddenly worth a whopping 261 million. And by 2012, 291 million. It's like every year he just adds a zero for fun. That's not inflation. That's criminal imagination. Now let's tee up the game dartboard valuations with Donald. Let's value some Trump Park Avenue apartments. Picture this. 2011, 12 units. And drumroll, the units are rent stabilized. By 2014, Trump was down to 9 units. Now here's the twist. In 2010, these units appraised at a humble $62,500 each. Fast forward a decade and hello, inflation. According to Newmark Knight Frank, each unit skyrocketed to a cool 3.8 million. But wait, there's more. The Trump organization took it up a notch, valuing these units like they were Beverly Hills mansions, inflating their worth by up to 700% in 2014 and 64% in 2021. Their rationale? These units could potentially become unencumbered in the future. This is wacky stuff. In defense, Trump and company simply said, hey, we're just future-proofing our assets, or in layman's terms, wishful thinking 101. Let's drive on over to 40 Wall Street. Some background. The Trump organization owns a lease at this iconic address, and our pals at Cushman & Wakefield, armed with clipboards and calculators, saunter in to do an appraisal. In 2010, they peg it at 200 million. Fast forward to 2011 and 2012, and it's, surprise, surprise, still hovering around the same mark, give or take 20 million. Seems pretty standard, right? This is where the buzzer goes off. The Trump organization, with its magical valuation goggles, sees 524.7 million in 2011, 527.2 million in 2012. That's a cool 300 plus million bump, just because. Well, Trump has his reasons. Fast forward to 2015. Cushman & Wakefield now, probably dizzy from all these numbers, values it at 540 million. But in the parallel universe of the Trump organization, it's 735.4 million. And there was no secret platinum mine in the basement. Now, to be fair, there's a claim that the 540 million itself might be inflated. But even if we play nice and stick to that number, we're still looking at overvaluation of nearly 200 million. All right, buckle up again. The property we've all been waiting for, Mar-a-Lago. Back in 1985, Trump grabs Mar-a-Lago, and by 93, he has converted it into a social club. Because? Why not? But hold on, there are rules to follow. Donald signs on the dotted line in 95 saying it's a social club only. No house parties, no new penthouses, nada. Jump to 2002. Trump legally double pinky promises he won't use Mar-a-Lago for anything other than club purposes. Oh, and as a bonus, he snags a preferential tax deal, locking in that club rate tax, which is lower than, what it would be if it was a residence. Now let's talk about numbers. From 2011 to 2021, the local appraisers, probably using calculators and not magic beans, valued the estate between 18 million to 27.6 million. But in Trump's magical ledger, Mar-a-Lago's worth is, get this, between 426.5 million and 612.1 million. That's an overvaluation of at least 2,300%. But wait, there's a defender in the midst. Enter Lawrence Mones, supposedly Palm Beach's real estate guru, who claims Trump's numbers are, quote unquote, conservative. And here's the kicker. He says he could easily find someone like, Elon Musk or Bill Gates to buy it. But when pushed, he says he's just dreaming. You can't really deposit those dreams in a bank account, can you? The defense suggests, quote, hey, maybe we can use the court system to wiggle out of that 2002 deal and spruce up the place. To which this court said, nice try, but no dice. That's fraud. Let's fly on over to, cue the bagpipes, Aberdeen, Scotland. The Trump organization, in its quest for global golf domination, owns a course in Aberdeen. But here's the kicker. It's not just about golf. There's extra land up for grabs. And, you guessed it, there's a fraudulent twist. The dream? Develop this non-golf property. But wait, you can't just tee off and build whatever you fancy. Enter the Scottish authorities who, like gatekeepers of a local castle, must approve any plans. Fast forward to 2017, a firm called Ryden LLP, doing a bit of homework for Trump, eyes the potential of 557 homes thinking Trump could pocket a sweet 16.5 to 18.5 million pounds. But by 2018, Trump's team does a bit of math and decides, let's narrow it down to 550 dwellings. But here's where the plot thickens. 2019 rolls around, and suddenly, in Trump's financial declarations, Aberdeen can magically fit, yes, drum roll again, 2,035 homes. Talk about delusional math. Fixing this miscalculation drops the value by a whopping 164 million pounds. The defense? Literally like this. Well, Trump's an optimist. He sees the future value that's not in the appraisal. Have you ever wondered, what is the value of a name? Well, let's discuss the famous Trump brand premium. Between 2013 to 2020, the Trump Golf Club's financial statements apparently came with an extra sprinkle of Trump brand fairy dust. How much, you ask? Either a 15% or 30% premium for those fancy golf courses. Because when you're Trump, golf is not just a game, it's, well, luxury. But here's where things get a tad tricky. While these statements were adding that brand glitter, they also claimed, hey, we're not counting the massive value of the Trump name in these figures. Wait, what? So in the same breath, they're like, we've added a brand premium, but also we haven't. In the world of finance, that's what we call a double dip and gaslighting on steroids. Moving on and introducing a couple of extra golf courses, TNGC Briarcliff and TNGC LA. Two fancy golf courses with some extra land waiting for a makeover, of course. The Trump Organization, looking to potentially get conservation brownie points, brings in appraisers. Here's where things get interesting. Yes, this is becoming a monotonous criminal pattern. 2014, appraisers look at Briarcliff's golfing green and say 16.5 million, tops. But Trump, perhaps seeing hidden treasure, values it at a cool 73.4 million on his financial statements. You gotta love the decimal point. That's a 300% rounding up error. Next up, TNGC LA. In 2015, appraisers, having completed an appraisal for Briarcliff, peg this golf club at 16 million. But in Trump's magical golf universe, again, this course shines at 56.6 million. Another casual 200% inflation. Next, we're diving deep into the heart of what we waited for, the Vornado partnership properties. This one is extra special. Donald Trump owns a cool 30% of some swanky buildings in New York and San Francisco, alongside Vornado Realty Trust, a publicly traded company. But things get a bit, well, slippery when we dive into the finances. First, let's call this analysis Trump's cash-tastrophe. Even though Trump can't touch or use the cash from this partnership, he labeled it as liquid assets in his financial statements for the years 2013 to 2021. Defendants tried playing this off by in essence saying, hey, even we labeled it wrong. It doesn't inflate Trump's worth. But here's the deal. Stating you got access up to 93 million in liquid cash when it's as liquid as dried cement is kind of, well, misleading. Now, the appraisal shock and awe. Our friends, again, at Cushman & Wakefield, check out the New York property, nodding approvingly at its 2.0 to 2.3 billion value. But surprise, surprise. Trump's calculations for his 30% share go sky high, floating between values like 3 billion-ish. The story is the same in 2021. Another appraisal group tags the New York property 2 billion, but in Trump's world, it's 2.57 billion. The kicker? We're not debating which appraisal is right. We're comparing pro assessments to, well, fantasy monopoly values. Finally, we have arrived at the final grift we will cover. You can't talk Trump finances without discussing his famous licensing deals. How often have you heard that? From 2011 to 2021, Donald Trump's financial statements have this snazzy little section called Real Estate Licensing Deals. Now, according to our handy legend, this is all about value from deals with external partners. Outside folks who want to work with the Trump brand. Cool, right? But here's the twist. Between 2014 and 2021, with a brief hiatus in 2019, these licensing deals included, dramatic pause, deals between Trump's own entities. It's kind of like saying you're collaborating with yourself. The numbers are staggering. We're talking about overvaluations from 97 million to 224 million. Yep, you heard me right. I haven't added up each of the overvaluations. But if you decide to do that, you will see how the New York Attorney General came up with ill-gotten financial benefits to Trump in the billions of dollars. This won't end well for Trump, and it shouldn't. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. And if you have any comments, Trump's overvaluation scandal, go ahead and leave a comment, below. Take it easy. Enjoy the Trump dramas. Follow it closely.